Hello, everyone. This is the Nameless One, and tonight we will be having another Alicorn Discusses. And tonight's topic will be the AI problem, primarily as it pertains to the fandom. Before we get started, I want to remind everybody, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring the notification bell, all that fun stuff. Check out the links in the description, all of the links for the socials for the people that are here, as well as for my Discord and Patreon are in the description. Now, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to have the guests introduce themselves, starting with Saf.
Me?
Yes, you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sapphire Sistrine. I'm a sound designer, musician, and owner of the Valiant Studios game dev team, and I am against generative AI that replaces artists.
Okay. And Ice.
Okie dokie. I am Ice Crystal. I don't really do anything interesting. I'm generally speaking neutral as far as AI is concerned, but with, I guess, the common consensus, I'm on the pro end of things.
There we go. And Star.
Hello, I am Starstrike. I am in favor of some AI, emphasis on the some. I am in favor of things like AI image generation to a point. For the most part, I would say I'm in favor of AI image generation. But when it comes to something like AI voice cloning, I am largely not in favor of that. I see some problems.
That's good enough for now.
Yeah, that's good enough.
So, just to give everybody in the audience a bit of a definition, where the AI we are primarily going to be talking about is stuff like the programs ChatGPT, DALL-E, 15.ai will be coming up. Programs like those, not your general AIs that you're used to for, say, Siri or I don't want to say it because my phone is nearby, but the search engine one. But
Google.
Yeah, that one. We're also not going to be talking about AI as in the thing that controls the enemies in video games. All of those,
we're all pro for that.
all of those, if removed, would remove the function of any of those things. What we are talking about is the ones that are primarily the hot button topic right now. Another thing that I'm going to mention is that this is going to be a very respectful, very informative discussion. Nobody is going to be attacking each other. And if you have a problem with the discussion shop topic, please be respectful in the comments if you decide you want to say something. Otherwise, enjoy. So let's see. First question. Actually, Saf, we'll go ahead and you wanted to talk about the origin of the 15.ai program. As it pertains to the fandom and like why it's a thing, and then we'll move on from there.
So it's worth noting that 15.ai is not like other things like DALL-E or ChatGPT. Those things are developed by corporations and are currently being used by corporations to let's just say for now to make things more efficient for them, right? 15.ai is not that. While there have been and there are other voice AI systems, 15.ai actually came from a fandom project in the Brony fandom, specifically something called the Pony Voice Preservation Project. I'll probably get into discussing more about that later, but basically what it was /MLP on 4chan decided that they wanted to be able to make pony voices on their own without having to go to voice actors and actresses. And so they spent 3 or 4 years working on that until a guy from MIT, a single dude from MIT, started using all that training data on the MIT supercomputers to make a high quality neural net model that ended up being the basis for 15.ai. So it's worth noting that at least in our fandom, and even with the what's it called, like the purple, not purple smart. I think it is
It's
called Purple Smart AI. I don't believe that even is based off of that. That's like kind of a homebrew thing. So the stuff in our fandom, even though people in the fandom do use stuff outside of it, the stuff in our fandom is mainly built in house. So there is a difference between that and like the corporate AI uses. I just wanted to lay that out there, and I can get later on if people have questions. I can get into why they do that, and I will get into why they do that later on.
Okay,
I mean,
so
I will say real quick, I
Go
do
ahead.
think that Purple Smart AI is a version of Stable Diffusion,
It probably
if
is.
I'm correct. Yeah, most AIs are.
yeah, there's a couple of different versions of like Stable Diffusion and like stuff like that. But what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm gonna have each of you do or bring up some of the things that you've seen within your particular spheres that get used a lot AI wise. For me, I see a lot of Chat GPT, Ice.
Okay. So I see, like, I guess a more general thing is like with AI, like picture art sort of stuff.
So Stable
Um,
Diffusion, stuff like Dolly.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Um, like I have a lot to say about how those AIs were trained in the first place, but I hear and see a lot of artists like complaining about people using their art as like a basis for that program to make some other kind of art, just sort of like without permission or anything.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and have Saf because I know you see some that some of us might not.
A lot of a lot of the stuff that I see is voice AI. Particularly because I followed for a long time. I followed the Pony Voice Preservation Project. There is also, of course, the visual AI stuff. I don't. I know that there are some attempts to develop like basically AIs that will write show scripts, but I don't know how far that's come along. The main stuff that I see, at least in the pony fandom, um, is usage of voice AI and things like animations.
And Star.
Specifically in the Pony fandom, talking about video creation, I really only see AI being used for voices, and people are largely using 15.ai for that. But other than that, like I don't really see many people using like image generation or ChatGPT for YouTube videos. Sometimes, but it's very rare in my experience. It's mostly just AI voices because people want to make an animation of the characters from the show, and they want a pretty accurate sounding voice that won't take them long to get their hands on. So they just use an AI.
So here's a follow up question. Why do you think they use AI over, say, finding a voice actor?
Multiple reasons. One is it's cost effective. Like some people, they just plain can't afford a voice actor. Like if you're just starting out your YouTube channel, you've got like 100 subscribers, you don't make much income. YouTube's definitely not making you any money. You might want to be using an AI because it's what's available to you. Sometimes there's people who they don't know anyone or they don't know how to network, and so they just don't know how to get a hold of a voice actor, and there are times where sometimes people they just need something quick, and they don't have the time to go out and find a voice actor, because it's like, oh, I've got to get this video out in like 2 days, so that but that's not enough time for me to go find a voice actor, work out the payment, get in the script and everything, and edit the lines. I'll just use an AI.
So I'm gonna do a bit of something a little bit different than what I usually do. What is your, specifically Star and Ice, what are y'all's opinions on that? We'll get to me and Saf afterwards.
Opinions on AI voices specifically?
Yeah, we'll stick with AI voices for the moment, and like what the use case that you just brought up.
I think that it's honestly fine for the most part if you want to use an AI voice for like a video or an animation. And it's mostly because like there's a quality difference in having an AI versus a real person doing the voices. Like if you can get somebody who actually does the voice and can do an imitation of the characters from the show, it's going to sound a lot nicer, but also, it's going to be a lot more expensive. So I can see why people don't do that. And sometimes it's like maybe you don't want to pay anybody because you're literally making a really low effort meme, and at that point, I'm like, yeah, hiring a voice actor just seems like a bit much, a bit overkill for like a meme video that's like 10 seconds long.
Okay, so
like in that sense, I'm okay. I think that's okay. My main problem with AI voices comes from voice cloning without the consent, and like what that can be used for and what that has been used for.
So essentially the stuff that should be illegal by now.
Yes, and here's the thing about the it sounds like I'm sort of like contradicting myself with the fact that you're using voice cloning to create these voices from the show, and in a way, yeah, I am. But the thing is, I don't think it's a problem in its current state with 15.ai, because people aren't using 15.ai to make it sound like the voice actors are saying something they didn't and try to frame them from some sort of crime or something that they never committed. Mm-hmm. It's like when you can hear it, you can tell that it's AI. My problem comes in when the AI becomes realistic and you can use it to frame people for things.
So I'm gonna tell you to be quiet for a bit, because I wasn't gonna say anything over you.
Yes.
Ice,
yeah, deepfakes are definitely a problem.
So I'm just gonna throw this out here now. We all agree that no deepfakes.
Yeah, there's a difference between like copying the voice of a person and a character, in my mind.
I mean, one, the character, everybody's not thinking of the voice actor behind it. They're thinking of the things the character said in the show, game, movie, whatever. And then the person, if somebody hears the person saying something, then that's when the Twitter cancel mob shows up.
Yeah, like if I hear
leaked recording.
Yep. Yeah, if I hear the voice of like Applejack saying, I'm gonna go
be careful what you say.
I'm not thinking, oh, the voice actor for Applejack is gonna go rob a bank.
Yeah. No creeper.
Yeah. And to expound upon something else Star brought up, like comedy content with AI voices is like its own video style. Because like there's something about an obviously AI voice that is actually kind of funny. So definitely, as far as that's concerned, yeah, As far as that's concerned, like there's definitely no problem with using AI voices over a voice actor because it's sort of a matter of taste. As far as more serious content, it's best to have a voice actor because then you're supporting somebody for their talents, and your content will probably be a lot better. But there's definitely money problems and finding somebody who can do what you need them to do problems.
So did you have anything else to add, Ice or Star?
I don't.
No, that's about it.
Okay, so I'm a go ahead and lead off with I am pretty much entirely against the whole generative AI stuff. I was saying is that this fandom makes it very easy to network, and myself especially. Not only is my Discord open, but I am actively always looking for content creators to add to a server that is made by content creators for content creators so that they can specifically do something like that. And one of the projects that popped up not that long ago, I don't know if Allie's still working on it or not, but essentially she just wanted a bunch of people to say moist. And that was the project. Nobody was getting paid for it. Some of them were voice actors, and like it's not that hard to like talk to a few people and actually go, "Hey, I want to do this funny thing." In fact,
I disagree.
what's up
I disagree.
with me?
Yes, I disagree
Okay.
with you.
Then say it.
I think that it actually is very hard, and that's why a lot of people are using voice AIs, and that's actually one of the bigger reasons why 4chan started developing the whole pony voice preservation project, because a big consensus in the fandom is that there are either very few AIs, there are either very few fandom VAs that sound like the cast, or they're very hard to find
See-
and contact, or they're expensive.
The issue that I actually end up seeing more often is the ones that do smaller work that can still sound like the show characters, because I have examples of people doing things that they're basically, some of them are almost identical to the characters, but they're smaller. They're not Scribbler. They're not who's another, help me out here, who's another big
Shadow.
or big yeah. Although I feel like I Am Shadow is not one of the expensive hoity-toity types.
She's not, but she's still a big name.
She is a big name. I'll agree with that. And I can
Brittany
understand.
Ackerman too.
For the
Brittany
longest
Ackerman
time, longest time, I was convinced Brittany was like an actual show voice actor.
No.
But yeah, I think that the people that, because I've noticed it's the same thing with music. If you think you want to commission music, you don't go to people like Scarlet Fury. You see the people that want commissioning music commissioned going to somebody like PW, which if you go to PW, he's giving you good quality stuff no matter what, but you're also partially paying for the name.
Well, and the reason, like, but the reason for that is because, like, Scarlet Fury, who knows who Scarlet Fury is, right? So it's not like there's
Check out the
some
musician
type of...
podcast, and you'll figure out who Scarlet Fury is if you don't
No,
know.
I oh,
I know
no,
who
sorry, I
Scarlet
thought you were
Fury
talking to me.
is.
That was a plug.
Okay. But like, so it's a matter of what does everybody else know, right?
Yes.
What does the main public know about you? And so that's the thing that I found out when it came to the voice acting scene, when I actually started to develop a tool to kind of combat this stuff, which we'll talk about later, is that there are a a lot of voice actors and voice actresses in this fandom who can do incredibly accurate stuff. Even many of them just work for free. They won't accept money. Many of them just work for free, but they're just so small and don't have as many connections to the point where you would not know of them at all. Like, it's not like you can search, or at least it used to be, you couldn't search My Little Pony voice actors, right? Now you can, thanks to some resources that I developed. But
I'm also going to add a little bit to that, because there are a lot of good voice actors out there. But what the fandom often looks for is voice impressionists, which makes it a lot harder.
yes,
Because I can do voice acting, but I cannot do impressions.
mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, there is a very important difference there. That's one of the main reasons people would use something like 15.ai is because they want the impression. They don't want just some random voice.
And for let me I guess restate myself then. The people on, I'm just going to drop the name, the Pony Voice Index. The people on there are impressionists, and I, as a sound designer, very meticulously rate whether or not they can actually do the characters that they claim they can do. So most of them can, in fact, do the characters very accurately.
yeah, there's some really good ones out there. And I feel like because of the projects that I am involved with, because of the servers that I run, I may have a bit of a skewed, like, vision, like, for voice actors specifically, I would say. The next two that we're going to bring up, kind of opposite ends of both of the same spectrum, though. Let's talk a little bit about AI art now. So, before we dive into that one, because I feel like Saf's got more to say about this one in particular, we're gonna let the other two throw out what they think.
Starting with
You, because I know
Okay.
you probably have the most to say.
So I am largely in favor of image generation, and I
I
think
can
there's
hear
a
the
lot of different
pitchforks.
reasons. I know. Now, the reason I'm in favor of image generation is because I see a whole lot, and I mean a whole lot of amazing benefits that come from this technology. And I do see some of the drawbacks, and I understand why people get upset over it. I do think that it does replace some jobs, and it will replace some jobs in the future. But I also think that it's going to create just as many, if not more, jobs as time goes on. It's going to also help a lot of artists. Like it's, I don't think it's even going to fully replace a lot of artists. I think that a lot of artists who embrace AI will find themselves with far more work and able to produce a lot more artwork at a higher quality and do better than anyone else who isn't an artist. And again, I just see it as like a useful tool just for a lot of small things in general. Like I've used AI for some of my videos where I say I need a very specific image of something like a house surrounded in barbed wire and like concrete walls. That didn't exist. The best thing I could find online was a picture of like an old rundown house with this very small falling apart barbed wire fence. And I'm like, that's not going to work. So I used an AI to generate the image that I needed. And it was a very helpful tool in that instance. I see a lot of people who are disabled where they used to make artwork and they get a tremor in their hand or a cyst where they can no longer draw. That ability has been robbed from them. But now with AI, they can put a lot of them, they're putting their old artwork into the AI.
Oh no,
training
he's
it on
using
their
the
style.
disabled artists against us. Sorry, I couldn't resist that one.
I'm sorry. It's just like, it's such a really good point that like, this is something that really made me largely in favor of AIs when I heard that people were doing this, is that there's these disabled artists who can no longer draw that are putting their artwork into these AIs, and they are now able to create their visions in their styles that they had for years. And to me, like, that's just amazing. That's a fantastic use of this technology. And again, I do believe that there's a lot of immoral uses of AI. There's
Art theft?
there's art theft. I believe, like, if you're just putting in an image into an AI or using image to image to make it slightly different, I'm like, you didn't create that artwork. You didn't have any creative vision there. That wasn't something that you had in mind that you wanted. That's literally just that's art theft. The same way that people already have been doing that, where they would put it into an art program and then they use bucket fill to change some colors and remove a few things. Like, art theft like this has been around for ages. It's just that AI's made it a little bit easier. So yeah, that's about the most condensed summary I can make of my feelings of on an image generation AI. There's a lot more I could say about it, but I need to give other people a turn.
I was about to say, we're not
Yeah.
going to spend the rest of the night listening to you. Ice, it's your turn.
Okay. I really could not agree more with all of Star's points, and I don't really have all that much to add. But I think it's worth stressing the point that the best AI artists are the ones that do regular art as well, or did before they used AI, because you need a certain kind of brain and training to be able to make stuff that people value. Really, whatever art medium. And so I don't think artists are really going to lose work from this. It's just going to enhance what they can already do.
Okay. Is that all you want to say?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Saf, do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Yeah, I guess you could go first. I'm gonna tackle it from the perspective of a game, like a company owner. So you go ahead and go first.
As somebody who is not an artist, in fact, has paid many artists and had art given to me for free on several occasions, I very much don't view AI generated stuff as art per se. So especially since, like, most of the times that I've seen AI art used in a way to create something, especially in, like, my character, it was a stolen piece that they tweaked slightly to try and claim was theirs. So, like, actual art theft. But as far as, like, the use of AI art, I see it as more of an inspirational tool. You feed it a random prompt and, like, you look at it and go, oh, I can do something with this, and then you go make it yourself rather than having the AI make it for you. Granted, I have only recently had it brought to my attention for the disabled artists, and I'll be honest, that's kind of cool. But at the same time, like, it doesn't. Art has always been something that people do with their hands. Something where you draw the thing yourself. You craft whatever it is. Like, we use plushies for examples. You sew the plushie yourself. You're the one putting pen to paper. Whereas with artificial intelligence, it feels like it takes the art out of the art, if that makes sense. I am also very much against, and I've actually, some of the research that I've done, they're starting to cannibalize their own bad, the bad things that comes out of, like, the prompts. I don't like how a lot of like say Dolly, like they'll just scrape things off the internet without permission.
Oh
But
yeah.
in doing that, they also scrape the terrible AI art off the internet, and that's why they have so much trouble getting AI to do hands and things like that. I've also noticed too that there is a certain quality to AI art that hits the uncanny valley in a way I had never seen before. Because like you can always like you can sit and look at a piece and realize that you're looking at AI art. Now, that may just be growing pains for something that is probably, I'd say, at most, with the publicly available version, 3 years old. But as of right now, you can look at an AI generated image and go, oh yeah, an AI did that. And that's it. Not something that I prefer the appeal of hand done art. And it feels like a lot of artists are getting kind of pushed out if they don't want to mess with the AI stuff. Either their stuff will be taken and used for the algorithms to train stuff, whether they want it to or not, or you'll get the mass groups of people that are like, oh, I can't afford an artist. I can't find an artist. Which, even more so than the VAs, there are just an enormous amount of artists that are constantly doing commissions. You don't even have to, like, you just look up, say, we'll use Fluttershy for an example. You look up Fluttershy on the internet, say Twitter or something like that, and you'll find people that do really good pictures of them. And if you look on their profile, 9 times out of 10, it seems like they're doing commissions. Some of them even do emergency commissions. And then there are the ones that, like, you go, oh, I love that art style. Do you do commissions? They will say 9 times out of 10, yes. You'll occasionally get the ones that don't. And if it's not something that you want, then go find a different artist. It's a lot of artists too undervalue their work, and it may sound a bit more cutthroat to say it this way, but they're the ones doing the work. If they want to value a full body commission at $5, that's not really up to you because they're the one doing the work for it. I've actually seen it before where, and this is more of a musician, where a musician I commissioned, the first time I commissioned him was like $95. And then last time I talked to him about commissions, he's raised the price pretty astronomically from that to more of the like standard of around $300 for a standard song. So they'll learn eventually, but the ones that you happen on that, because of how many artists there are, they undervalue their work. They look at everybody else and go, oh, my art sucks. Nobody will pay for this. One, paying for it will actually get them to start valuing it more, I've noticed. And two, sometimes that cheap art is all you can afford. You know, that $5 your character here is just enough. I will say with landscapes in particular, though, it is a lot harder to find landscapes because landscape artists aren't as easy to find in this fandom in particular. And I've noticed the ones that I have seen are like the ones that are like Picassos and Van Goghs, where it's just like, how do you do that? It looks like a photograph. But I'm gonna shut up now and let Saf talk.
Good morning. So I have a few perspectives. Firstly, the whole disabled artist thing. I do believe that there is a place for that, but I believe that that should be the decision of the artist.
Not a mega corporation.
Yeah. So like for instance, I'm not going to name his name, just because I don't know how much he'd scream at me if I do that. But our concept artist for Dimensional Shift, for my company, he has a hand injury that he's probably going to have for the rest of his life. And so it makes it where he can only work on stuff for so long until his hand starts hurting really bad. And we needed some art of like industrial cabling, like you know how like when you're in like a battleship or something like that, and you look up and like the panels on the ceiling are taken down, you see all the cables running through the ceiling, right? That, except it was like plants and vines and stuff. And because that was the concept that we were going for. And he's the concept artist, right? And he was like, look, this is literally just going to be for the whatchamacallit, the mood board. This isn't even official concept art for the game. This is literally just going to be for the mood board, just so that we can communicate vines instead of wires in ceiling tiles, right? And so he went to like Dolly or something and generated that using images he previously took. Instead of doing that in Photoshop, which would have taken him hours and which would have hurt his hand, etc. And that was his decision. It was actually a little bit of a contentious decision because, we as a team full of artists are pretty anti-AI, but because it was really justified by his injury, we were like, okay, because I could have paid for it. That would have been fine to pay for that stuff, right? And just have some basic stuff. So it's really it's a niche case. I feel like that's much more of a niche case. Where the average case is, I feel, at least at the moment, because I do project that into the future, definitely more artists will pick up AI enhancement of their art, using AI to enhance or to edit their art in ways that make it easier for them. But total AI generation with prompts, I think is a lot more damaging to the art sphere than helpful. And I've seen in the Brony fandom that a pretty big consensus of the AI blokes is, we want to be able to do it ourselves. We don't want to have to rely on, commissions and paying for stuff. Which, I mean, good for them, but at that point, you're getting into what I call the net loss theory, and I don't know if you want me to explain that just yet, nameless.
Let's go ahead and go into that, because I feel like that now should be a pretty decent time, and then we can discuss it after.
Okay,
see what the other two think.
All right, so the net loss theory is a theory that I personally developed about the long-term and short-term impact of AI. And this is generative AI across the board, not just art. And it simply goes like this. In a world where there was no AI, let's take image generation. In a world where there was no AI image generation, and you needed a piece of art for, say, a video, or you needed OC art or whatever, you would do several things. You have several options. You would ask someone for free to do it. That would expose that artist to your audience and potentially get them more commissions and more attention towards their career, boosting their career and benefiting them. It's a net gain for both of you. You gain and they gain. You would commission someone else. Same thing as the first one, except now you're paying them and helping them live off of their art, making their career as an artist sustainable. Thirdly, you would search for an image, and of course, if you properly credit that image, that would also do the same thing as number one. It would expose that artist and get them more attention. Or fourthly, you would learn how to do it yourself. That would add more skill to society, more skill to yourself that you can then go and benefit others with. Or fifth, you decide to rewrite the script or whatever you're going to do to remove that and instead make a production that does not have that asset that you needed. I've seen a lot of fandom creations that could not afford a voice actress that ended up going very well in spite of that. They used visual storytelling instead, and they learned how to do that, and it developed their skills more in those areas. And so, in all of those situations, there's a net gain to society in some way or another. Introduce AI, and first of all, it's already taking from what society has made beforehand. It's taking from it and it's not crediting it. Then it's only benefiting you. It doesn't exactly benefit your skill. It doesn't exactly grow your skill. Yes, you can grow some type of skill in learning how to do art and learning what looks good and even learning how to control the AI, but not as much as, say, learning how to draw completely with your own hands. And it certainly doesn't commission someone else and help someone else in their own career in that process. So in many ways, the introduction of AI and the usage of AI can be a net loss, both in the current and future terms, if it's used to replace artists and to be cheap and easy, which is what most people that I've seen are using it as a method to be cheap and easy. And I'm not saying that in a mean sense. I'm just saying that it is literally more efficient to go to an AI like Dolly or even Purple Smart or 15AI and make it do what you want and settle for that. Because one day it is going to be good enough. It is going to be indistinguishable. You aren't going to be able to tell it apart. Just within the last few months, I've been watching the AI art on Derpy Brew evolve from being able to tell that like it was AI because the cutie marks are imperfect and look all weird and wiggly to they literally have perfect cutie marks, and now I have to look for like inconsistencies and eye shines and sparkles, and they're fixing that stuff too. So it's going to get to a point where it's indistinguishable. At that point, it just starts to become a net loss to society. That's my general theory. I am very curious to know what y'all think about that, though.
I'm gonna let Star go first.
Okay, so excuse me. I have a bit of the cough, and now I was sick a little while ago. Got over it. But the remnants of sickness are still trying to attack my throat. Anyway,
All right.
so I actually have a couple of questions and some points on some of the things that you guys have said. So one is that this is actually towards Nameless. You were saying that you prefer real art or art that's made by an artist and handcrafted because AI art doesn't look right. Right?
As of right now,
It
the
looks
vast
uncanny.
majority of it has this uncanny, like, for lack of a better way to say it, it looks digital. Whereas, like, art done by an artist, like the people that did the characters that we're using, it doesn't look as like digital. It doesn't have the weird shine to it.
Yeah, depending on which AI you're using and the different filters and stuff you stick it through, that often does tend to happen, and it does tend to have a weird shine, some strange shading.
Yeah,
But then you were also saying,
15 fingers.
yeah, 15 fingers. But you were saying that, like one of the points is that AI is becoming so good that it's indistinguishable from real art in a lot of instances. In which case, I'm curious if you were to be, if you were to have somebody who is so good at using the AI and is able to take the time to make the image look right, maybe even uses some traditional art programs, something like Photoshop, and is able to redraw a cutie mark to make it look right, fix the eyes and everything. Would you be okay with somebody doing that and say making fan art of your character? Because I mean, it looks good. Like it doesn't have the uncanny valley thing.
Like,
Is that
my
a use of AI that
biggest
you would be against?
my biggest thing with that is like even if somebody were to do that, I would vastly prefer someone who did like you remember that one picture you drew as a joke because I was bitching about
Yes.
yeah. I would prefer that over the masterpiece if it was crafted by AI, because to
Well, I'm not
me,
saying fully crafted by AI. I'm saying somebody used AI to make it, but they
see,
also spent a lot of time.
I'm talking about fully generated by AI. I can almost see like, so if we're talking like an image that is made by AI and then slightly tweaked by the artist, I don't like that as much. But if it's an art, if they run their art through an AI to do some touch-ups, I would be hypocritical to say that I had an issue with that, because that is essentially what voice mod does for me when I do some of the voice acting I do for characters in my streams.
Yeah, to me, like something that you were talking about was art being something that people have always made with their hands, and I do disagree with that. Like largely art is made with hands, but to me, like when every time somebody tries to define art and say art is this specific thing, it often excludes other forms of artwork, because like because like telling stories is a form of artwork, painting is artwork, photography is artwork, um
All of
sculpting,
all of those are still fall under like they're, when I say using hands, I'm not necessarily saying that like they're physically using their hands, even though all of the ones that you mentioned are.
storytelling doesn't need hands. Like you don't need to be writing stuff down on a piece of paper or typing it to tell the story.
If I may butt in here for a second, I think that there's a big difference between using an AI as a tool to help the artist and using an AI as a non-artist to generate things so that you don't have to go to an artist. Um,
I
and
somewhat agree.
and I think that is what a lot of people probably have issue with, because that's kind of how it's being used a lot in the current sphere, and it's how it's trying to be used in the industry as a way to save money.
Case in point, the writer strikes not that long ago. I think it was writers in Hollywood, where they had a lot of people that were worried about losing their job to AI because the companies were wanting to use AI to do things like the backgrounds, and the Disney's been really bad about trying to condition people to be okay with AI.
Yeah, well, honestly, like to me, the idea of using AI in something like if you're making a movie or a TV show, I personally don't really see too much of a problem with that. If you're talking about like with the writer strike, if they're wanting to use AI to just say write a story, AI is not good enough to just automatically write a story and make it a good one. I think it can
So
definitely help for writing a story. Like you can use it as a
hold on,
as a tool.
before we get into writing too much, because I have lots to say on that one. I'm gonna let Ice say something because he's been kind of run over. I don't know if he's
Yes. I'm to go bully people. Okay, so art is subjective. That's just, I think, a truism, basically. So to like all of Nameless's points about him not liking the style of AR art, it kinda doesn't matter, because there are people who do like that style. And AI art provides that style, so there is value.
I agree with that. I think that there's like you really can't argue in terms of a personal preference, because that won't really go anywhere. But go ahead, Ice.
Yeah, like personally, I sort of have a very similar personal preference to Nameless.
I'm also going to point out that at the beginning of this, I did specify that I have no issues with AI art in the terms of for use for personal entertainment, because I play around with chatbots all the time because it's fun.
I
But,
do
like,
so
too.
much fun.
Character AI is fantastic.
The ones that I have problems with is like right now, if you go onto DeviantArt looking for commissions, there's like 800 people all selling the same churned out garbage. They say they're like OCs and stuff like that, but you can like they're not even well generated, but they're trying to make money off of it. You see Disney trying to replace artists and writers and voice actors with their deep fakes, the AI art backgrounds, stuff like that. There's no reason for that, in my opinion. Like, yeah, have it for like. I will budge on the disabled artist. That is but that like Saf said, that's a niche case. I don't see, and I see many artists doing what I do with voice mod and having AI help enhance their work rather than replace their work.
I do have several of the points that you mentioned I do want to touch on.
Okay.
So like this idea of using AI and something like, again, going back to the big budget production sorts of things, or even small indie productions where you're using AI to create backgrounds and stuff. I personally don't see that as a bad thing. I see that as a net positive because these companies largely aren't going to be firing people in replacing them with AI. What they're doing is they are working on, now that the project is cheaper, they can start working on multiple projects, work on more. They can now make more projects at once, and then send those artists to those multiple projects because you need less people working on this one single project. All of those projects they're working on are now cheaper. That means more content of the same or similar quality coming to the audience to
So
consume.
Actually, no, I'm gonna hit that one nameless, if
Okay.
you don't mind. Let's go ahead and finish up Star, but I'm a jump in after you.
We're getting more content of same or similar quality coming to us. That is oftentimes like it can be at a cheaper cost as well because it costs them less to make it. And there are instances where it won't be as good of quality, but that's largely because they either were too reliant on AI or they were getting people who didn't know how to use it, or they just used AI in the wrong spot where they should have gotten traditional artists to make something.
Is that all?
Anyway, I think that's all on that point. I could go further on it, but I want to hear what your rebuttal is first.
So, that logic works more for indie projects than it does for anything else. When it comes to corporations like Disney and
Hasbro and
Sony
Watsy.
and Hasbro, those corporations are profit-based, board of directors run publicly traded corporations, and that's important to note because their primary function is to make as much profit as possible. This is not profit, or this is not earnings that goes back into making the product. This is profit. This goes into the pockets of the shareholders and the board members. So a very popular example of this, and I really need to go and confirm this story if I'm going to keep on spouting it, especially in situations like this. But Ford Motor Company, it's reported that Ford wanted to take a lot of the profits that were made from the company and put it back into the workers' wages and make the quality of life better, make more projects, etc. However, the Chevrolet brothers, who were on the board of directors at the time, denied Ford doing that on the basis that the company or the shareholders, I'm sorry, on the basis that the company's sole purpose was to profit the shareholders, and they even won that in court because the governing documents of it was in fact to profit the shareholders. And that's how most publicly traded companies operate, are for the sole profit of the shareholders, not the creation of the art. And so the creation of the art is just a means to profit. So for companies like Disney, they would absolutely love to cut out as many people as possible and as many expenses as possible, because that would make sure that they get the maximum amount of profit.
So I actually I have a bit of an example that hits a little closer to home for us. So if you didn't already know, Wizards of the Coast is owned by Hasbro, and Wizards of the Coast has been in a lot of hot water lately, but one of the more recent ones is they decided they would replace artists with
What is Wizards of the Coast?
Wizards of the Coast is the company that owns both Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. They publish all of the books, all of the rule sets, and they are the reasons it exists right now. However, they have been raked over the coals over several occasions because they not even like reallocated, they just straight up replaced those people that were doing the art for the books, which if you've looked at a D&D manual of any kind, there's not a whole lot of art there. It's maybe every, like, in a, we'll say like 100-page book, it's like every 20 to 30 pages, you'll get like a little diagram example picture or like dramatic posing dwarf, stuff like that. It's not super image heavy. And I believe it was the Big Space something of Giants, but they got caught using AI because the AI, the person that generated the AI was bragging about it because they didn't have artists doing the art like they traditionally did. WotC makes millions. They can afford to hire somebody to do little art pieces inside of the books or on the card arts for Magic the Gathering, which is like the entire draw of Magic the Gathering. I agree with Saf. I can understand like a indie studio for like an animation that's like 3 people strong going, we don't have somebody who can do backgrounds, we don't have the money to hire somebody, and we can't find anybody to do what we need to, rather than just yoink something off the internet. Let's just like plug something in and get something off of a AI. I can understand that a little more, but there is no reason to say that a corporation of any size, as long as it is considered an actual corporation, there's no reason why they should be using AI to replace jobs, because that is what the vast majority are doing, because they are trying to make money.
I do want to maybe touch on your point, but nameless. But first, I want to go back to Saf's, because even though they're similar points, they are a little bit different. Because Saf, I think, was largely proving my point when he was talking about AI, because my point is that when you have these big corporations, their goal is profit. Like that is the main thing that they're always striving for, is how can we maximize profit? And you do not get profit without creating a product. And so naturally, what these companies are going to want to do is create more products. But you need people to create products. Even if you're using AI, you can only remove so many people. And so you remove some of those people, you start creating a product. Now your company has some extra money. What is this company going to do with that extra money? Well, the company is going to put that money into another product because they have the money to spare. They have an IP they can work on and profit off of. And so they're going to hire more people for that.
Yes and no. I'm going to hold on, nameless. It's still a net loss in terms of the people lost. Let's say you had like 1,000 artists, right, on a movie, and they cut it down to like 100 people with AI, right? And then they make they make like 5 more movies, right? That's still only five. That's still only like a total of like, or 4 more movies. That's still only like a total of 500 people, 500 employees. So that is still a net loss compared to what they had before. Go ahead and nameless.
So I keep a very close eye on one industry in particular, the gaming industry. And it is a textbook example of what most corporations end up doing when they realize they have more money. Bonuses. It goes to CEOs, it goes to shareholders. It doesn't go back into the projects like you think they do. A lot of the times,
for the record, oh, go ahead.
There was one point that Activision Blizzard is actually infamous for. They reported record-breaking sales and record-breaking profits, and then laid off over 1,000 people. So, corporations, regardless of AI or not, corporations are still going to be screwing people over incessantly, and they are going to be money-hungry, profit-driven organizations, and AI is a tool that they will use to force that even harder.
And for the record, that is actually something that would be within what are called the governing documents. Every company is required to have a set of governing documents that actually makes it says how the company runs. And most ones with shareholders will say, we need to have this amount of the profits goes to us. This amount is designated to here. And then that, of course, the board of directors and the shareholders who end up influencing the board of directors end up influencing that policy. The shareholders, they don't care about the company. They care about making money, which is why you see which is why you see for Disney, which is why you see
Hold on, Zach.
Okay.
We're getting a little off topic and yelling at the corporations. The corporations are going to do the worst possible thing for the vast majority of their employees 90% of the time based off of patterns of behavior. So we can drop the corporation side of this. Let's focus more towards the indie side of things, and like how this kind of stuff pertains to smaller, like, 3-man dev teams for games or whatever. Which
I believe Star Strike also had some more points that he wanted to touch on. So,
yeah, the indie scene is actually something that I was wanting to use to sort of expand on my point with the corporations, which is that there's that even if there are going to be some people who are laid off in terms of massive corporations, with the rise of the internet, we've all seen a bunch of indie corporations, indie studios popping up with smaller development teams putting out a bunch of great content. It's caused people to become less reliant on corporations, but corporations have still always been a big deal, a big place that people go to work. But now with AI, it's making creating things easier, and it's making them more affordable. There's a lot of people who can't start a small gaming company or anything like that because they don't have the money for it or they don't have the manpower. But now
I have a bit of a counterpoint to this because of AI once you're done.
Yeah, let him finish.
Okay. So like now with the rise of AI, you can have these smaller teams creating these just amazing projects. And this is also an opportunity for a lot of people who were working for those corporations to now find work elsewhere because there's a lot more people who are looking to hire because they need someone on their team. They don't need many people, but still, the fact that there is now an indie studio that exists that wasn't there before means that there are now jobs that are being created or job positions that are being opened. And hey, look, here's somebody who just got fired from Disney. He's looking for a job. Well, how about you come work for Lamppost Studios and work on their new game, light bulb runner.
So I actually have a bit of a something. So I'm going to agree with you. Indie studios are just awesome. Like some of the best games in the world have come from teeny tiny indie studios. However, there is a problem now with indie studios and AI. And so some of you may or may not have heard of a tiny little game that not many people have heard of it. It's called Power World. It's only sold, I think it's up to 19 million copies. But it's also caused a lot of backlash. Now, some of the backlash is because of other issues that we're not going to get into, but one of the main ones, one of the biggest ones that people have been hitting it with to try and bring it down is, they use generative AI for, some people will say, to completely make the models used for the game, or I've also seen the ones where they used them as inspiration. So AI has also created a secondary effect where it doesn't matter what you think of AI, there is going to be a large group that will see that you either did use or possibly use generative AI and will rake you over the coals for it.
Yeah, that is a problem. That's not so much a problem with AI. That's just more.
Well, that's a problem with yeah, and it's
there's a problem with cancel culture on the internet, which has already existed before that.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think that's really...
AI has given them an easier target because you are okay with the idea of just straight generated AI, or you're like there's three stances. You're either okay with it somewhere in the middle because you don't know what everybody's talking about, and then the ones that are like hardline against it for one reason or another. It basically breaks down to those three.
Yeah, but to me, that's more a problem with people not having civil discourse, and that's more a problem. That's a problem. Here's a problem with people not having civil discourse. It's not a problem with AI. It's not a positive with AI.
I will, getting back to just real quick on the indie studio scene, because hello, owner of an indie studio here.
Which is why you're here.
Hi. So I disagree. I feel like there are, at least at the moment, very few places where generative AI can benefit to any substantial degree a production in a way where they couldn't have gotten that elsewhere. And pointing back to my net loss theory thing, there are so many places, so many different ways that you can get what you need, whether it be learning the skill yourself, asking for someone to do it for free, paying for someone to do it, even over time. I mean, come on, there's still this thing called taking out a loan from the bank, which, back in the day, people used to take out loans from the bank to start their company, and have to pay that over time. That's a thing. There are risks when it comes to this, right? But anywho, and then also, just making stuff out of random assets online. There are games like that, and they end up being phenomenal. And the indie scene was already popping off before the wide availability of AI, which I think proves that it already had the capability of doing that without AI. And if AI hadn't been introduced, and if it just disappears today, there really wouldn't be all that much of an issue, because the capability for the human mind to learn and adapt to limitations is phenomenal. And
I have a bit to augment your point once you're done.
Yeah, and so just in things like, especially indie studios, the limitations plus the ability for people to think outside the box and work within those limitations is in many ways what makes the amazing games that we've seen today. And I don't even think with generative AI that it will help all that much outside of, say, add some voice acting or art here and there. But go ahead.
So I'm not an indie game studio holder like Saf, but I have been in I've researched and been very close with both the indie and AAA gaming scene for a very long time, as well as not so much the big name animation studios as I am for following indie studios. And with the introduction of AI, there was no real at most itch.io would get 2 or 3 very obviously they just hit generate on some random prompts and were we can use this for game. And they felt very low effort because they were very low effort. It
stay that way for a long time once AI starts to get better. But yeah,
honestly, the main place that specifically the indie gaming scene would benefit from is advancements in AI in the terms of enemy AI and stuff like that, NPC AI, advancing that over generative AI where it generates an image for you to use, or even voice acting. Because some of the best remembered games are because all your base are belong to us.
Yeah.
I guarantee you about half the people that play older games know where that came from.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have several points that I want to make, but also Ice hasn't spoken in a while.
I was about to say, I was actually about to say, let's let Ice speak because he hasn't said anything.
Okay, I've been listening for a while and I've picked up on some themes. So, Star Strike's main points seem to be AI as a net gain for the consumer of art. Because it's easier for more creative people to make creative stuff and get it out there. And Saf's main point seems to be that it's a net loss for artists. Because if it's easier to get out the easy content, then people will stop commissioning as much and stop honing their art skills as much. So I'd just like to shed some light on sort of a problem I see with that net loss theory is that it's only a net loss for artists necessarily with that. And I'm not arguing that it isn't a net loss for artists, but there's more than just artists in this picture.
Well, I will say I also believe that it's either the same as it was before or a net positive for artists. And I'm leaning a little towards net positive. But anyway, continue.
Did you want to do a little rebuttal, Saf?
Yes. Art, historically, art has always been something that in our world is difficult to make a living off of.
Exceptionally so.
Even copyright laws, even though they're unfortunately kind of corrupted today thanks to Disney, they were some of the first laws that were, at least in America, that were developed to help ensure that artists can make a living off of their art, because art is something that is important for our society. Even if that's kind of hard to see sometimes, it is something that adds beauty to our lives, adds enjoyment. We, as enjoyers of Pony here, can probably all agree that the artistic skill that went into Friendship is Magic and the others. I don't know about those, but friendship is magic. Was exceptional enough to catch our eye and to be an enjoyment. And when someone can't make a living off of that, there's going to be less art. There's going to be less art. There's going to be less art all around because now I can't make a living doing what I love. Thus, I must spend more time working at Walmart, right? And I know that very closely because I have an entire company of 30 people that's their situation, and I want my company to be that haven for them to actually come and work full time eventually, and be able to make a living off their art. But that aside, that's my primary concern is the well-being of an artist's livelihood, because when you affect the artist's livelihood, you affect their ability to produce art, which is a net loss for society in terms of art. It's a net loss for the consumer. It's a net loss for the artist.
I'd say that's an argument for universal basic income, but that's a whole nother discussion.
That is definitely a whole
Yeah,
other
let's
discussion.
not.
When we can print atoms, come and talk to me. Then I would love to have UBI if it actually worked right now.
We already have one controversial topic going. Let's not bring in another and just light two fires at once.
I mean, we've kind of already done that with the corporation thing, but yeah, let's not add another one to the fire.
I don't feel like it's that controversial to say big corporations tend to be greedy and selfish and cause a lot of
But
I want to bring up something we've sort of touched on, but not fully. Because we keep talking about artists, we keep talking about voice actors, but as one, writers are ones that get shafted even harder. Because don't get me wrong, artists have to swim through a sea of other artists to get noticed, but just about everybody and their mother will go, "Oh, it's just writing. I can do that." Now, they don't even have to do that. They can go, "Oh, I can just go tell ChatGPT to write it for me." And as somebody who would love to be able to throw out commissions for my writing, I have to think about, now I'm competing with, yes, it's subpar compared to the writing that I can put out, but it's also free with, most models. I can't do free for if somebody wanted me to write them a specific story in terms of commission, because I'm putting a level of work and effort and polish into it that a AI would never be able to understand.
Well, I mean, you also can't do it for free because you're spending time writing that, and that's time where you're not earning money to live. I don't know about you, but I gotta eat, right? I gotta eat food, and I gotta go. I can't just drink the sunlight, right? So I need money to live in this society. So I can either spend my time working for that money, doing a job that pays, or I just don't do a job that pays, which in this case for you would be writing, and oops, I can't eat. So
that actually, as a passion, I have always wanted to be more like a novelist than anything else. But I have had to look at it and go, I can't do this because of how hard it is to break out into a profitable portion of novel writing, how much work it'll take for how little return it gives. So I have to look elsewhere. If AI becomes even better at what because I've seen some of the AI stuff for some of the paid models, it can do some pretty convincing writing. It doesn't understand imagery and metaphor as much as an actual writer does, but give it a few years, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets to the point where it's indistinguishable from another writer that's a human writer at a similar skill level.
So I do want to talk about the chatbot and writing aspect of AI, but I also was wondering if I'm able to just rewind a little bit and because Saf mentioned something about artists not being able to get their or not being able to keep their jobs a while ago because of AI.
Sure, go ahead.
So I do believe that there will be a lot of people who are outcompeted by AI who will lose their jobs, all these artists, but they are largely going to be outcompeted by other artists who are using AI. That's the main thing is like I do think that there will still be a place for people who
So I'm gonna
don't use
play
AI.
a bit of devil's advocate real quick, because I'm also going to point out that artists that can do better than the AI without the AI can outcompete the artists that have the AI and are still doing well.
Yes. Yeah, agreed. Like there are people who are just so ridiculously good, top tier professional artists who cannot be outcompeted by an AI. And even when AI gets to be extremely good, if it's like indistinguishable just from a couple from an artist, just by a couple words, largely you're still going to want that professional artist who has been doing this for years because the art is just one, it's just so ridiculously good, and two, you can get very specific, very subtle things that an AI is not going to get unless maybe if you have a really skilled artist who is in there working to make those specific to put in those specific aspects, like giving very subtle expression to a character or putting some small thing hidden in the background behind the fog. It's like a silhouette of something that might show up later in the series. That sort of stuff. It's really hard to get an AI to do that sort of thing. And unless you are
Yeah.
an artist who is combining your abilities with AI, in which case these really top tier professional artists who are now using AI, who are combining the two, they can still even is somewhat to replace even those top tier guys because they are the top tier guys and they're able to make more art faster at a slightly lower cost.
I Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just about done with that. I was just saying that they can outcompete people. Yeah, again, even these top tier people. Right now, I don't think it's really that worth it for them. But as AI improves and as there are tools that are developed to allow people to blend the two styles of artwork together, or two methods of creating artwork together more, I think that it will become a very viable option for a lot of people.
So
I
before
agree.
before
Go
we
ahead.
run him over again, Ice, do you got something you want to add to any of this?
Um, I sort of agree on some points there. Like if you're an artist and you're refusing to use AI just out of the principle of the thing, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot because AI is out of the genie bottle. It's not going back realistically. So
Yeah,
it's sort of a situation of work with it or get replaced by somebody who is willing to work with it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the reality of the situation. It's like every technology before it has done the same thing, and this one will continue to move forward in leaps and bounds. And realistically, it's not going anywhere. In fact,
Yeah.
it's only going to get better. And
It's unfortunate.
I'm pretty sure everybody here can agree on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but one more quick thing. Sorry, this is a brief. Another thing that that traditional artists have over AI is that it's much easier to have stylized artwork if you're if you're not using AI. AI is hard to stylize. Anyway, that was just another thing I wanted to throw in there. Go ahead, Seth.
I agree that eventually it is going to come to like an equilibrium. There is going to be a point in which AI is integrated into just the human sphere to a stable point.
Even more so than it is now.
Yeah, just like just like there is still the need for, there's still a desire for more traditional styles of art in the days of digital art. In fact, could even be more valued than the days of digital art. I
How much
think
does a painting cost?
I think that it will eventually reach an equilibrium. What I would really like to see, though, and this is, I guess, kind of, I'm not asking for like responses on this because it's definitely something you'd have to think about, but I would like us as a society, and maybe even smaller, just as a fandom. I know that's going to come. What I would like us to do is I would like us to help each other, and to make that process as painless as possible. You know, because there's still like, I mean, I'm in a server full of people who are just trying to make a living doing their art, and they're working with each other, and they're helping each other, and it's honestly beautiful. And I know, yes, you know what? They can go work at Walmart for the rest of their lives and work up their way to being a manager at Walmart and then eventually get replaced by a freaking AI. But
Just got to bring
like,
it full circle there.
but like, so I would like us to at least think about ways that we could ease that, into there, right? Because the previous, well, because the previous things like the Industrial Revolutions, the freaking Depression, come right after it, and lots of just it wasn't exactly the most painless situation. And as someone who is looking to hopefully make a living off of doing my art, if I don't, man, that sucks. Because I'm not just saying this to toot my own horn, but like, I've got skill. I don't want to waste that skill working at some dead-end job just because that's what I have to do in order to like, feed my family.
I want to add to that a bit, specifically the skill thing is like, even if it's like, because I am incredibly blessed by the time that I spent in the military, meaning that I will always have at least a little bit of income. But like, I want to earn more off of the things that I am passionate about, the things that I love doing, my writing, my video stuff. I want to do more with that than I want to go work at Home Depot. Because I have so much that I want to do in the terms of content creation that I cannot do because of money. If it were up to me, I would have an animated series for all of my campaigns. If I had just infinite budget and the resources to like make that happen, I would. But the logistics of it is impossible because of A, I don't have the money to pay other artists, and B, I don't have the time because that time I have places where it's better spent. So that was my little additional rant to the. I want to be able to live doing my passions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm probably the most lucky person here in that my passion is to make stuff out of metal, and I get to be a machinist.
Yeah, and
They're gonna come for
I
you, man.
actually agree with like a lot of what you guys are saying. The people want to make a living off of their passions. I want to make a living off of my passion. But and I'm not saying that there won't be any like sort of it won't be a bumpy road. It's not gonna we're not gonna make this transition into the world of AI without a bunch of
Casualties.
problems. Yeah, a bunch of casualties, like it's similar to the Industrial Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it'll be quite that bad. It might. It very well might. Things could go horribly wrong. It might be worse.
Skynet, let's go. No.
But anyway, so there's definitely going to be some casualties. There's going to be problems as we make this transition. But similar to the Industrial Revolution, I think that after those casualties, after everything, after the fog clears, everything settles, we will wind up in a more positive place than we were before, where more jobs can be created, where more artists can they can find work, and even people who just refuse to use AI. I believe that there will even still be many places for those people, and there's going to be a lot of people who specifically will request that they have artwork made that is not done with AI. There will be situations where you specifically need you need an artist to say create a new character, and there's going to be people who need to who hire artists in order to train AIs. We'll be like, hey, so we're creating this new original character, this new big cast of characters, but we can't fully animate them, so we're going to be using AI. But also, we're not very good at creating these characters, these original characters with the AI, and making them look iconic and making minor tweaks. So we're going to hire some artists to train the AI. And so these artists, they create their fully non-AI artwork. They train the AI. The artists have now made money. The indie studio is now able to create these new characters and make the animation fairly easily, and can now always hire those artists again if they ever need more characters in the same style. Like, again, I see what you're saying. There's going to be a lot of people who are losing jobs. There's going to be a lot of casualties, but I do see a lot of positives, such as that one, where that's going to come up after sort of the dust clears.
I'm calling it right now. There's going to be like one of those like 90-minute Netflix movies called like The Last True Artist or something like that.
Which is documentary written by an AI.
in a world where everything is AI, there's a search for the last true artist because it's a lost art or some stupid crap like that. It's gonna be really dramatic. I think that a lot of this is fear about what's going to come, honestly. And that's where a lot of the hatred comes from too, is just fear of the future.
I'm gonna say this. As somebody who will continue to search out the human and artist rather than the AI to continue my own writings without using AI even for inspiration, to look for the artists that are making things with their hands. Even I know that it's disingenuous to believe that screaming and yelling about the existence of AI is going to do anything other than just piss people off.
Yes.
It's here. It's here to stay. We've opened Pandora's box. There's no way to close that lid again.
Yeah, there's no putting Pandora back in the box.
I do actually want to make what I think is actually a really important point on that, the fact that AI is out there and it's not going away. And it's something that I haven't actually heard anyone talk about, which is the fact that there's so much shaming going on towards people who use AI, whether they're traditional artists or not. You just get attacked if you're using AI. But my thought is,
he speaks from experience.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there who, if you start attacking them with AI, you start shaming people for using AI, what's going to happen is people are going to start using AI, and they're not going to tell people that they're using AI.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to create this world where where, because AI is here to stay and you're not able to get rid of it, people will be secretly using AI, and that can cause a lot of problems where if, say, you've been making commissions for artwork using AI and people have been very happy with it, you've been able to deliver exactly what you said you would because you're just that good at using AI. But then people find out that you used AI for it, and suddenly you start losing customers. You start getting attacked. And a lot of people who bought your product are going to feel betrayed. some people are probably gonna be wanting refunds. Like lives can be destroyed in that sort of sense, and it's all because we were shaming this person for using AI instead of saying, you know what, you can use AI, just let us know that's the tool you're using. Because
That
if
is-
we encourage people to use AI and we say, hey, if you're using AI, that's cool, just let us know. That's a situation where people no longer have a reason to hide it.
Yes.
And
It's even worse than that, because if people are having to hide that they're using AI just to get their art out there, then there's AI art out there that's being advertised as traditional.
yeah,
And that means that people who are trying to find that stuff and crack down on it are going to be cracking down on people who are making art without AI and saying, you're using AI.
yeah, a lot of people will get falsely accused. Because they'll say,
And
this style looks too similar. I see what looks like the remnants of a Getty Image watermark. And
And
gonna
I actually agree with this because that is what has happened traditionally, even within our fandom. When you ostracize a group, you push them down. They just get stronger in the background
That's
now, in
how-
a place where you can't control them.
That's how our group got started. Like, that's how the Brony fandom, it became popular because it was treated as this horrible thing that adults were watching My Little Pony. Oh my God, who could have thought that this was a thing that would happen as they watched the Disney
Yeah.
cartoons?
Yeah, and I think though that this is, if you don't mind me getting into this, Nameless, I think that this could be a good jumping off point into, I guess, what I'm kind of doing to help with the whole situation of this. Because even though I'm against things like AI voices and art, there is no point in being against it and then not helping someone who is relying on that stuff. Because right now, most people are relying on it because it's their only option, right? So with your permission, Nameless.
So I'm actually gonna like lead off a little bit because there's also the so I know what Saf's gonna talk about, and I'll let him talk about it in a sec. But there's also the MLP Creator Hub. For those of you that are creators out there that are, if you got clean records, for lack of a better way to say it, you aren't problem causers in the fandom. You've got some decent content that you've started putting out, even if it's 1 or 2 videos. You can reach out to me or to staff and ask about the server. Bring examples of what you make, and like I've said before, it's a server by creators for creators, so that you can approach other creators as equals and not have this like, oh, I'm a random person, and we'll use Silverquill as an example. Silverquill's comments trying to get a collab with him. I'm sure he gets that like a million times a year, and you're not going to get heard that way. However, the server is meant so that creators can find each other on an equal footing, and so that way, like, it's not so hard to go, oh, I need a voice actor that can just do this little meme thing but sound like a good example is one of the Cutie Mark Crusaders. We got somebody in there that is really good with Cutie Mark Crusaders. And
Oh yeah, Felicity.
Leading into that, Saf has something that is actually tied to that.
Yes, so I run a site called Daily Dose of Pony, and we made the hard decision to, at least for now, not allow AI stuff on there because we don't want to promote the usage of AI when there are better options. And I worked very hard to create those better options. And this right now is primarily for voice acting side of things, but I will continue to work on it and make it also for just generally any type of art. But it's this. As Star Strike really started out, the reason why most people use voice AI is because it's either really hard to find a voice actor, it's hard to contact a voice actor, or it's hard to pay for the voice actor. The ponyvoiceindex.com is a resource that completely solves that situation. It solves the first two by listing all of the voice actors that have contacted me and have put their stuff on there. It accurately shows what voices they can do with examples, and it keeps an up-to-date contact information with multiple ways to contact them in case you need to commission them. Or many of them could even work for free. And if you can't commission them, there is another project that I've made called rarityproject.org. Now, this one is probably the most valuable of them because what it is essentially is it's a money pot where people come and they donate to Rarity Project, and then artists or creators can come and say, hey, I need art for, or I need an asset for this, or I need voice acting for this. And we'll look at them, we'll see, all right, do they have a patron? Do they, do they actually need the money, or are they just trying to get extra money, right? And then we'll pay the artist who's getting paid, not the one who's requesting it, but the artist who's getting paid, or the voice actor, just to ensure that there is no scamming going on there. And that takes care of that situation, even for like really tiny things like shit posts and memes. The only thing that we won't support is pornography, because people who do porn already get enough money off of that anyways. They can pay for it. So those two sites, ponyvoiceindex.com and rarityproject.org. If you have an AI project, or if you have a project where you feel like the only thing you can do is use AI, you can come talk to me, and I can get you hooked up with plenty of people who would be more than willing to help. In fact, we have these things called AI warriors, designated voice actresses on call who will jump in at a moment's notice to record lines and get you the lines you need for your project. That Rarity Project will take care of. So, yeah. Anywho, that's really it.
And I think that is a good point. Let's see, I am going to mention that yes, musicians have been flooded with AI. I say with massive air quotes art, because AI has had a lot more trouble with music than they have with any other medium.
Oh yeah, we haven't even touched on AI music.
I don't even know about any AI music. I'm curious. I'm gonna go talk to you afterwards, okay. Blue Brony.
Here's the thing: it's fun to play with. I don't have any stance on it at the moment. Other than that, I genuinely can't decide how I feel about it.
His exact wordings is that it is low effort slop, which makes me think that it's the weird it's not very well put together. Like it's somebody that sounds essentially like they're face smashing a keyboard kind of stuff compared to what our fandom can put together, which, by the way, if you didn't already know, our fandom has some amazing musicians.
I think it's one of its biggest talent, art and music, just, oh gosh, beautiful.
I think that a good way to describe AI music, at least from what I've messed around with, is the best it can get is very it sounds very subpar. Nothing's gonna really, you're not gonna have any chart toppers with it, and it sounds like it was recorded on a cheap microphone.
Yeah, the one that he just brought up, I was thinking instrumentals. He's talking vocals by the look of it, which that's kind of existed for a while now, because Hatsune Miku.
The vocal, well, for the record, the vocal AI ponies is actually a thing developed by the Pony Voice Preservation Project. I think he might be talking about Vol, who makes some pretty phenomenal stuff, as well as BG and Pony Degeneracy. And they have musical skill and musical talent. They just use the AIs, and they actually have to sing for that, for the record. They have to sing for that, and then they use the AI to transform their voice into like the voice of Fluttershy or the voice of something else. And then there's the ones that don't actually sing, and they just put a a
vocoder.
An acapella track through the AI, and it comes out like slop, So
That just sounds like a horrible idea.
it's interesting in a bad way. Go ahead.
There's something that I actually did with AI music, because I've been playing around with a few different AI music generators. Again, still don't know how I feel about them exactly, but one of the things that I did that I thought was just really dumb but really fun was I told the AI, which was actually hooked up to ChatGPT, to write a song. I told it to write a song about subscribing to Starstrike. It's really dumb.
Which
The lyrics are...
you should subscribe or follow whatever they gave me to throw in there for everybody here. These people make good stuff. Ice doesn't. Ice makes things with his hands. He hasn't. We haven't convinced him to do something with that yet.
Ice, when you
everything I make is classified.
When are you gonna start making Pony Cutie Mark brands so that people can get Pony Cutie Mark brands? You make some branding irons, dude. Come on.
Yeah. Check back on that in I don't know, like 10 years. I need to get some equipment.
10 years.
I'm very
we
slow.
Might have nuclear war between now and then.
Now,
that way I can just have it radiation burn Cutie Mark on you.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
Now, I don't know if you were wanting to wrap up Nameless, but I did have a question.
I
promised
answers.
Yeah, I promise this isn't just me trying to like plug my channel or anything. I was wondering if I could send you the subscribe to Starstrike song so that we can listen to it. And I wanted to just so that I can like get your guys' thoughts on the AI music, because again, like I don't think any of us really have like a strong grasp on where that's going or what it's even currently like.
I'm gonna say we're already running up on 2 hours, and from what I can tell, we had no questions. So
yeah, I haven't seen any.
I'm gonna say we can. If you send it to me, I'll load it into my voice mod soundboard. And how long is it though before we do that?
It's like 30 seconds or less.
Okay.
I don't think
I don't.
that.
As long as you know, it's not gonna.
No, it's closer to a minute. No, we don't necessarily. I don't know.
As long as
that's a lot. That's
as long as you know it's not gonna like ping any kind of like YouTube copyright because one note of it sounds weird.
No, this is completely original, completely generated by the AI. It's not that great. The lyrics are kind of weird, and again, I didn't come up with. I just want to make it clear, like this is like fully generated. I was just telling it, write me a song about. I think it was something like a blue Pegasus and subscribing to this Pegasus named Starstrike. That was it.
I feel like we're all going to regret this.
Oh yeah, this is going to be an
This is what we call brainwashing music.
Let's hear it.
Okay, everybody ready?
Yeah.
There's a place where you can be free. Come with me. A magical journey, can't you see, where the stars collide and the music sets you free.
What is this garbage?
It sounds so tinny.
Yeah. It is.
What even?
What even is this? Half of it's unintelligible.
It really is.
It's what?
It's out of sight. I don't know why it put that in. It just needed a rhyme. This is what happens
Okay.
when you have AI do all the work.
I will say I am a lot more surprised that, like, okay, that was like completely generated by AI.
Completely.
I am surprised that it sounded like that because I'm used to like it just coming out as gobbledygook with like the stuff, and it basically
I'm
all you can
surprised
do is
it-
generate.
I'm surprised it even vaguely sounded like music.
Yeah, I know. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
actually
another
an earlier version of the AI. That's not where it's currently at. I
We,
made this a
we
while
have
ago.
somebody that commented it sounded like a Taylor Swift song.
Gosh, oh my gosh, you know what this is gonna mean? This is gonna mean we're gonna have stupid songs like that for like the kids' channels. Like,
Oh, no.
man.
There was some parts like it sounded like it was recording in a room away from the microphone, and it only caught like the top peaks of the music.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a really cheap microphone, and they were not close to the microphone, and the room was not treated. The microphone might have only been partially plugged in.
Okay, now that we have thoroughly traumatized all of the viewers, I think that
You're
will
welcome.
be enough for tonight. If you guys enjoyed that and would like to see more of it, then be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and ring the notification bell for my channel, because I will never subject you to such monstrosities as that.
Like you just did.
Subscribe to Nameless. It's
Please,
for you.
please, let's not. I'm not the one who made it.
No, but you played it.
Neither was I.
In fact, if you guys want to see some really cool stuff that I paid an actual musician to make, there's actually a video on my channel by Black and Blue and Cold Donnerstag did the visuals. But that video is worth listening to. So if you need some good like ear bleach, go listen to that one. But other than that, if you we've got so many traumatized audience members. I mean, Ice, you're not wrong. We will not be paying for therapy. On the other hand, if you want to support the channel, check out the Patreon link in the description, or even just join the Discord. The Discord, I found out that a lot of people don't know, is actually free to join. You can join and not be a Patreon member. You just don't get all of the perks that the Patreon members do, like being able to hang out on the stage after the show, after the podcast, and listen to us chat. And sometimes we even let you chat too.
All I'm gonna say is just, I'm not gonna say whether or not it's going to be a civil chat, but it's certainly going to be fun.
Oh no. A big thank you to my my priest tier patrons as well. Ishi, Equinox 3141, Ice Crystal, Scarmex, Trailblazer, and of course Cameo Shadowness. Other than that, I hope everybody has a great evening. I couldn't keep doing this without all of y'all, whether you are just subscribed, tuning in, or especially the Patreons. But other than that, everybody have a great evening, and don't forget to drink water.